Hello, I am Ethan, or TheEreader. This is season 1, episode 4. Sorry for my fans. um, I didn't do one last week, but doesn't really matter because I bet there's no one watching every episode. If you are, please leave a comment. But if you aren't, still leave a comment and say you liked it, and leave a like if you're at that before. Anyway, this has been. I will talk about my week in reading. Um, I did a lot of reading this week. This week was a very good reading week. Um, okay, I'm just looking at my list on what books I read this week, or the past 2 weeks actually, because I didn't talk about the week before. So I'll talk about the past 2 weeks. So I finished. When was the last time I talked? It was 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I finished 4 books in the last 2 weeks. Um, Very successful past 2 weeks. I wouldn't have been able to do that work because I have lots of schoolwork and stuff, but I was able to do it. My first book I want to talk about is The Dark Tower, Book 2, The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King. If you have listened to my previous episodes of the E-Reader podcast, I um talked about how the second day of January I read The Dark Tower, or I finished it. And so I went on to the second book, and January 18th I finished it. I wrote down all the dates, and I gave it a 5-star rating. It was so good. Um, I'm not gonna really say anything about it. It's about this, but I'll just give a synopsis. It's about this name, and is a gunslinger. His name's Roland, and he's on his quest to find the tower, the Dark Tower, and this whole tower is full of the mysteries of the universe. Like, how did it start? Is there a god? Is there not? All the answers that people want to be answered is in this tower. The tower is the answers. And he's on his quest. So there's 7 books in the series, and each book is him getting closer and closer. Um, and the second book was so good. The second book was him drawing a three, is like drawing his members, is like in Lord of the Rings, like the Fellowship, like they're gaining the Fellowship. So he gained his members of his group that will um try to succeed. Like he try to make him succeed. But there's a prophecy at the end of the first book. Um so that's it for that one. That one was a very good book. I'm planning to get to the third book soon enough. I took a break from that book. I didn't want to go back into it right away. Those were The Drawing of the Three, number 2, took me about a week, which is a long time to read one book for me, so I wanted to go to a little shorter book. I So the second book of the 4, I love Pixar. Pixar, the animation studios, they made movies like Up, Toy Story, Cars, Finding Nemo, among 20, 25 others. And I love them. I've watched every movie. I've watched, I think, like 70% of the short films that they made. I love the TV shows on Disney Plus. Their Pixar is brilliant. I know people might think they're for younger kids, but their movies hold such good meanings for kids and adults alike. So I love them so much. Sorry, that was a long rant. But the book I read was To Pixar and Beyond by Levy, and that was a 4-star rating, and I finished it January 25th. So about 5 days ago. That book was really good. I keep saying this. I know I keep saying this, but I like all the books I've read um this year. The 6 books I've read this year are so good. Um, but Pick Two Pixar and Beyond was some chapters were a bit boring for me personally because not for because it's a business book. It's but it's an interesting business book because they talk about Toy Story and animation, how Pixar was a small company owned by Steve Jobs, and how it became going up and up. It released Toy Story, huge hit, sold stocks and stuff like that. But it can become a little boring of the whole chapter, like 20 pages talking about stocks and stuff like that. but it was very interesting. Know so much more. It's written by the CFO, the chief financial officer, Lawrence Levy, who he was the chief CFO for the first like 10 years of Pixar, and then he left. But he talked about like going to Toy Story for the premiere and stuff like that, and it was such a good book. It was a business book. It was yeah, it was really good. I know so much more about Pixar now. So that was really good. And then the third book I read this month was Magic Misfits, the Magic Misfits, the Fourth Suit by Neil Patrick Harris. That was a 4-star rating, and I finished that January 26th. I finished that in 2 days. It was okay. So they're kind of it's a series by Neil Patrick Harris, an actor, probably well known. I remember him from the Smurfs movie. I don't know why. But he wrote a children's book, The Magic Misfits, is about these kids who are magicians, and uh, they live in a small town, and these bad magicians, like evil magicians that are going like want money and like steal, like use their magic for stealing. Um, um, they try to stop these bad magicians. Anyway, um, it's a 4-book series. The fourth book just came out in November. 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Um, and I've been reading them every single year. Every year they came out. First book came out in 2016, then 2017, 2018, 2019. No, that doesn't make sense. Wait, does it? 2016? No, it doesn't. The first book came out in 2017, then 2018, then 2019, and then 2020 was the fourth book and the last book. It's a 4-book series. I started them when I was like 9 or no, I started them when I was like 9 or 10 or something. And I don't know why. I just read them when I was a bit young, and then I've been reading them every year for the past 4 years. And they're kiddish. They have a bit of like pictures every 10 pages or so, and they're really good. They're really good, enjoyable books. I finished it in 2 days. It's 300-page book, but it's big font, and it's just enjoyable, casual read. Nothing to think about that much. Just enjoyable. Okay, a lot of talking. Sorry to keep you long. If you are still here. Anyway, the last book that I just finished actually yesterday was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That's a reread. Um, actually no, sorry. I started Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone yesterday. The days after I finished Magic Misfits, I was reading something else that I'll talk about later. Um, but I started Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone yesterday, and then I finished it just today. So that was a 2-day read. That was a reread for me. I just wanted to reread the Harry Potter books. I remember loving them. The last time I read them was 3-4 years ago. Um, I just really wanted to read them, so or reread them. And it was like okay, so that was a 5-star read, and I finished it January 2019, 29th, which was yesterday. Um, like those books are so magical. They're just very enjoyable, just like the Magic Misfits, just a casual. You don't think of that much. It's just like it's a reread, so I know like the plot twists or the answers and stuff. But it's just an enjoyable read. You can sit back, relax, and and yeah, that's pretty much. I have a big there's a big illustrated book of Harry Potter, so I read that with all, and the pictures are really nice. And that's all I got to say about my reading week. Thanks for listening. This has been the E-Reader podcast. This season 1, episode 4. I changed my schedule, and episodes can't come out every Saturday and Wednesday, just to get a little more of me, just like you wanted. I'm Ethan, or the E-Reader. This podcast has been edited and filmed by Ethan. Thanks for listening. Catch me every Saturday and Wednesday on the YouTube channel.